Hello, hello, this is Shaitan bringing you a game between Gamania Sen and Complexity's NaNiWa, played at the BlizzCon 2011 Invitational. This is the loser bracket semifinals. NaNiWa defeated Sen previously in the upper bracket, so we'll see if Sen can bring it back. The first game is on Shakura's Plateau. Let's get started. Spawning in the upper left corner, we have Complexity's NaNiWa, fighting for a spot in the losers bracket final against I Am MVP. And in the top right corner, we have Gamania Sen, a very strong Zerg player playing in the Taiwanese team league. So these players actually haven't played that many games against each other. They had one series earlier this year in the GCPL Season 1. It was a very close series, NaNiWa defeating Sen 3-2, so we'll see if that will hold true again, or what sort of action we can expect. Over here you can see that NaNiWa is doing the very typical Forge Fast Expand. Very strong on this map. This double ramp means that any type of early aggression from the Zerg is very, very easy to hold off with a combination of sentries and cannons. The typical response from Zerg seems to be to take a quick third base. That's going to be either right here or sometimes in this pocket expansion. That's the more economically favored build, but we'll see if Sen chooses to go that route or if he decides to be a bit more aggressive. Okay, so NaNiWa looks to just be making probes, nothing too out of the ordinary. We can see that Sen has gotten his spawning pool on 14. It means he's probably going to be delaying his speed, at least compared to a 14-14 opening, obviously, but we'll see which path he decides to take after this, whether he's going to go for the double expand, or if he wants to do some type of maybe two-base roachling aggression. Again, remember though that type of build is not very effective here because the double ramp means that it's very easy to hold off. And you can see here that NaNiWa is actually going to be going for a Nexus before Forge. It's actually a very safe build. With what he's seen from Sen, because he knows that this spawning pool without gas means that there are not going to be speedlings out anytime soon. He's going to have plenty of time to defend any sort of aggression coming from him. And that was actually interesting. You saw that. So Sen scouted, I think, the fact that the Forge was very, very late. So he did a double extractor trick to get out 4 Zerglings. We'll see if this pylon's going to be enough, going to be able to delay the Zerglings long enough, because right now it looks like if these Zerglings get here in time, they might be able to slip through this gap, although I wouldn't be surprised to see if NaNiWa drops a pylon there just to be safe. And it looks like this cannon will actually be up in time anyway. So we have the Zerglings going ahead and chasing this probe. It'll probably die pretty soon. Again, we don't see any sort of gas from Sen anywhere on the map, so I fully expect there to be a third base coming up fairly soon. Pretty much the moral of the story is the faster the better. You can start pumping out more and more drones, get your economy going, and if that hatch comes out really fast, then the creep is there earlier, which means you're going to be safer against any sort of Stargate follow-up from the Protoss, which is increasingly popular. But we can see that NaNiWa's just sort of getting his infrastructure situated, cyber core going up, nothing too out of the ordinary here. The second hatchery from Sen is about to get started, and you can see right here, there is actually the drone going out to start up the third. And with no sort of map presence on the map, NaNiWa is not going to be able to actually see this, although I wouldn't be surprised if he expected. Okay, over on NaNiWa's side of the map, we see him getting a very, very fast +1. He's actually going just one gate into getting this really fast +1. This probably points to some sort of gateway pressure rather than anything maybe involving dual stargates or anything. There would be no need to get the +1 if that was the case. So it'll be... We'll see if NaNiWa just tries to go for one of those standard timing attacks, maybe 6 or 7 gates off of these 2 bases, and either you could, I suppose, try to do that all in an all-in fashion, or just aim to take out this third base and then retreat back to a base of macro. You can see here that Sen is actually scouting out all of the area all of this area in the bottom right-hand corner. He doesn't want to get caught unaware by a pylon placed there by a sneaky scouting probe, but it doesn't look like there's anything there, although there's actually a zealot going to the third base right here. I don't know if I like this, really. Maybe holding on, getting 2 or 3 zealots, waiting for +1, and then pushing out, forcing a bunch of zerglings from the zerg player. That's viable, but this one scouting zealot, like, sure, it lets NaNiWa know what's going on, but the zerg doesn't have to alter their economic habits whatsoever. Let's see if he actually gets this drone, and it doesn't look like it, so he's going to be taken out with absolutely no losses at all, although this queen actually decided to take out her anger on this hatchery. Over on NaNiWa's side of the base, there are 3 more gates going up, bringing him to a total of 4 gates. He's also getting 2 gases as a natural. This might point to him actually wanting to take this out to a longer economic game rather than sort of forcing the issue with any sort of aggression. With 4 gates, he's not really going to be able to do significant damage to a Zerg on 3 bases, but we'll see what route he decides to take. In the unit counting station, we can see that they're fairly even on drones right now, 55 drones to 44 probes, but Sen is continuing to make them at a faster and faster rate. Oh, and here we have the tech choice from NaNiWa. He's actually going double Stargate. There is an Overlord right here. Let's see if you can see it. Ooh, not quite, just out of range. So this could be deadly. I don't know how much I like this delayed to Stargate after the gates, because right now you can see that the Zerg has been allowed to drone up very, very heavily, and he's been able to get his sort of economy going without any sort of pressure. These 2 Stargates, if they had been up well, and they are scouted now by Sen, but if he had been able to get them up before the Stargates, maybe do some pressure with Phoenixes and Void Rays, it really would have done a lot to cripple the economy of the Zerg. Kind of similar to what Elfie did against Idra on Shakur's Plateau, where he opened 2 Stargate, Phoenix went into a bunch of harass, followed it up with the same robo facility that you see here in NaNiWa's natural, and then he was able to use that to force all the Overlords to cluster into the main, and then do a Warp Prism drop right here, transition into Colossus, and then take out the forced Hydras that came about as a result of the 2 Stargate opening. But we'll see if NaNiWa can make this work. It's a little delayed. He's actually going 2 Void Rays rather than Phoenixes, as I would expect, so let's see what he does with them. Supplies are 103 to 84. It's pretty standard right now. Zerg making a lot of those cheap units. They're going to be up a little bit, but actually right here you can see that a lot of that supply difference is just in the drones. 71 drones to 55 drones. I don't think that NaNiWa is going to be able to do anything. I think that he's waited too long, let the Zerg get too situated, and I think as long as Sen sees the quick transition to this Robo Bay and Colossi coming, he's going to be able to switch out very, very easily and take care of it. We have a total of, it looks like, 6 gates, 2 Stargates, and then a Robo. And Sen is transitioning, making a Hydralisk den. We'll see if he actually makes any Hydralisks. I don't know if he will. He should be able to handle this with his 4 Queens and Spore Crawlers. But I hope he doesn't actually make those Hydralisks, because that's exactly what NaNiWa wants him to do. So he can do that quick switch over to Colossi and take that out. And you can see here actually 11 Hydralisks coming out. I suppose that's alright. I think that, let's see what Sen sees. So he knows that the Robo's there. He doesn't know about the Robo Bay right here. But I think we can expect that he expects NaNiWa to be going Colossi after this. It's a pretty standard follow-up. And you can see that he is making a Spire somewhere, right here at his 3rd, to be prepared for Colossi. And these Void Rays have really not done anything in terms of workers killed. NaNiWa has not done a single bit of damage with those Void Rays, just taking out this Extractor, which, while, you know, it's 1/6 of the Zerg's gas income, it's not really that big of a deal. And you can see here that Sen is actually taking a 4th base, and NaNiWa's taking a 3rd, but he's going to have to shut that down. These Zerglings are going to be able to take it down very, very easily, and he gets the cancel off. In terms of upgrades, the Zealots, the Protoss has 1/1, whereas the Zerg actually does not seem... has 1 ranged attack, nothing on the melee. He's actually upgrading +1 right now for them. In terms of the Colossus count, it looks like there's only 1 Colossus out right now. 2nd one on the way, with Thermal Lance being researched as well. Pretty standard. I I just don't see NaNiWa being able to do anything against this army right here. I don't think he's going to be able to take this third base. I think that Sen's going to be able to shut it down, keep him locked in these two bases, take the map, and just out macro NaNiWa to victory. But we'll see if NaNiWa can prove me wrong. Oh, interesting. Sen is actually going for some Mutalisks. I suppose that would work too. You can see that these two Stargates have made it so that NaNiWa is actually quite gas-starved. He has a much heavier contingent of Zealots. He has 8 Zealots and only 7 Stalkers in his army, which means that he's not going to have that much defense against the 13 Mutalisks that Sen has right here. So with that, he should be able to do significant damage to the economy of NaNiWa at the very least. And best case scenario, I wouldn't be surprised to see him be able to take out some of those Colossi. And NaNiWa does not have any idea that they're coming. He just saw the Mutalisks right now. It'll be interesting to see what he does. He pulls the probes right away. He's still going to lose a few. Let's check. He's killed 3, 4, he's killed 6 so far. There's actually a Twilight Cancel going up. He's going to need to get Blink up as soon as he can, but it might be too late, especially since Sen is going to be able to do significant damage to this Twilight Council, possibly even taking it out. No, it looks like he's just going to pull away. But the fact of the matter is that these levels, with Sen having 21 Mutalisks already, Blink Stalkers just aren't going to cut it. They're just going to be able to tear through the Stalkers regardless of the Blink Micro. So this means that he's going to need some sort of AoE. Archons or High Templars, but he's not even going to be able to get that because the Twilight Council was just taken out. At the same time, there's an attack on the third base that's held off with pretty good force fields. He's able to keep the Hydralisks and Zerglings away and do kill off whatever slips through. His third base is up and running, but remember that Sen is on 4 bases right now. His income is about 25% greater than NaNiWa, so we'll see if he can do any sort of anything to even that score. Remember though that NaNiWa or Sen has 23 Mutalisks with another 7 on the way, plus 1 is done. I think this Mutalisk ball is just going to be too much for NaNiWa to deal with. He's started making Phoenixes, but those are a bit too late. He's able to tear through them, almost one-shotting any unit he decides to focus on. He is losing a lot of these. I don't know about this. He's just needlessly wasting them. He sees the Phoenixes as he try to snipe those and get out of there. He's lost about 8, maybe even like 12 Mutalisks with the amount that he had restocked during the battle. And there's no sort of multi-pronged attack going on. This third is just sitting here with these units being wasted. Put some pressure on there, Sen. It's the only way you're going to be able to combat this, because you're not going to be able to attack up into the natural because the army is too close from defending the third, and also this ramp is really easy to force field off and defend. So you need to do some sort of multi-pronged attack, pull him into the natural, maybe pull all of these stalkers away, and then attack right here with, who knows, Zergling Hydra. Interestingly, we don't see any sort of roach production. Until now, he's only had 4 roaches, and he's been relying on his Zerglings on Hydras, just sort of needing those Mutalisks to keep NaNiWa on his base and not push out. Because I think right now, if NaNiWa, well, not right now, but if NaNiWa had pushed out maybe a minute earlier with all of these, he would have been able to take out he would have been able to take out the army of Sen very, very easily. You see that it's relying very heavily on 1/1 Hydras and 1/1 Zerglings, which they just melt to the Colossus pressure because of the their low health and the fact that they have they cluster up very, very easily. You can see here that NaNiWa's actually pushing in. He appears to be cornered right here. These force fields are all right, but he's not cutting off all avenues of access. The Zerglings can still access right here, but it appears he finishes off the wall, and we'll see if the Corruptors and Mutalisks are going to be enough. They're enough to take out the Colossi. This means that all of the high-tech units are gone for NaNiWa. I think he's at really high danger of just losing to the follow-up push from Sen, or if not losing outright, at least losing this third. Remember, all he has are Stalkers and some Zealots. This means that he's going to be very weak to any sort of Roach Hydra Link follow-up, especially because Sen still has 6 Mutalisks and 5 Corruptors to take out the Void Rays and Phoenixes. And at the same time, Sen is taking the 5th. He's been keeping NaNiWa on 3 bases. I don't see NaNiWa being able to take this. I don't think he's going to be able to transition to the amount of AoE he needs. And here's the big engagement. We see that he's able to whittle some of the army down. He's losing Stalkers. Not too quickly. I mean, you can see that he's blinking back as best as he can, but he's kind of trapped in the corner. Not all of the Stalkers are firing, but he's able to hold this off. He only lost about 8 or... no. Oh, he's losing some more right now. He lost about 15 Stalkers in this engagement. And I think he'll be able to clean up this army, but Sen is reloading with 20 Hydralisks, 13 roaches. He's upgrading +2 air attack, upgrading +2/+2 ranged attack, and I think this follow-up push is going to break NaNiWa. I don't think there's anything he can do. He's making some immortals, which would be good if Sen was going pure roach. However, he's mixing it a bunch of hydras in there. He's actually slightly behind on upgrades right now, but he will be ahead in about 100 seconds. And I think that this is going to be game, especially without the follow-up expansion. Right here, he has very low minerals on the natural expansion. All he has is his third base. I don't know. I think Sen should be trying to do some sort of flanking from this side, but even just this brute force attack from this little choke is going to eventually work. It's actually kind of cute. He has these 3 spine crawlers, but the 4th one that's going to be controlling the Xel'Naga watchtower here, making it so that anytime NaNiWa tries to poke his way out here, he's going to be taking significant damage. I like this too right here. Sen has this Zergling actually patrolling between the logical places for NaNiWa to take his next expansion, just so he knows when that happens, so he can go and shut it down pretty easily. It looks like NaNiWa is going to be moving out. Don't know how much I like that in terms of army supply. We see that Sen is about 30 supply up on the army. A lot of that is in roaches and hydras, but here's NaNiWa just moving forward, blinking back before he takes any damage. But right here, okay, the supply difference in army has decreased only about 20, but I mean, you can see here most of that is in Stalkers. There's a couple Immortals and Templar out. Storm is being researched, but with Burrow and with Infestors coming out and transition to Hive, I don't know if it's going to be sufficient, especially if he moves out here. This surface area is going to be significantly more conducive to an attack rather than this small choke, and you can see here there's just a much greater area for Sen to pressure this army, and he can afford to throw away some resources. I mean, look, he has 5k, 1.5k bank. NaNiWa has a little bit bank too, but that's enough for maybe 10 Stalkers. But Sen can remax on almost pure Zergling as soon as he takes out the big gas-heavy units, such as these Immortals that are harming his roaches. And we see Greater Spire on the way. Corruptor production has already begun started. I think that NaNiWa is going to be on a timer here without any sort of anti-air in place. I don't think that the Stalkers that he has are going to be sufficient to take out the Broodlords and survive to tell the tale. It's going to be a one-way trip for them underneath the Broodlords. They might be able to snipe them, but they won't be from that. Supplies have evened up, though. I think Sen is just playing it very, very safe. NaNiWa is getting ready to take his 4th expansion. This Zella did take out the Scouting Zergling, and here there is a kind of a mini flank. The Storms are proving to be devastating against the Hydralisks, though, but even with that, he's doing a significant amount of damage. NaNiWa is back to only 25 Stalkers, while Sen is making 12 Zerglings, 7 Broodlords, 40 Zerglings, and 22 Roaches. This is a hollow victory indeed for NaNiWa. It may look like his army came out on ahead, but pretty soon, right around here, it looks like, from the rally point, we'll be seeing a full-fledged army from Sen ready to take out this of NaNiWa, especially because a lot of these Stalkers are damaged. They're in the red. All the Blink Micro in the world is not going to be able to save him. We're going to see NaNiWa dropping the first game, going down 0-1 in this best of 3. All that remains is just a formality. At the same time, he did take this 4th base. I don't think it's going to prove to be the difference maker. The Broodlords are out. The slow march toward the 3rd base where you can siege it up, and there is the G.